Have you ever had a great idea? You had a perfect plan, you sent messages out, booked meetings, shared updates about it, did everything you thought you were supposed to do to get people on board. Then there was silence, or worse still, there was pushback, delays, side comments, resistance. You started asking yourself, what am I doing wrong? Why are people being so difficult? Can they not see that this is a great idea? And if we do it this way, it's going to work out well. If you've ever felt that way, you are not alone. Sometimes you find that success and delivery doesn't just come from having the right plan. It comes from understanding the people who also needs to believe in that plan for you to succeed. Hello, everyone. I'm Ruth Amani, founder of Amani Career Lift, where we help turn aspirations into achievements. Today, we're talking about one of the most underrated and powerful skills. We're going to be breaking down how to master stakeholder engagement and communication management, not just for work, but for real life instances, whether you're leading a project, launching a business, starting a community movement, or you're just trying to get people aligned at home or in your cycle, this video is definitely for you. At its core, stakeholder engagement and communication management is about building trust, managing expectations, creating momentum with people who matters to what it is that you're trying to achieve. Stakeholders are everywhere. You've got them in your team, you've got them in your community, in your business, even in your household. Actually, anyone who's impacted by what you are trying to do, regardless of age, sex, etc. As long as they are impacted by what you're trying to do, then they are your stakeholders. In many cases, you find that plans do not become achievements. It's because the idea was a wrong one, but because the people you needed, they didn't understand the plan, they didn't understand your vision, and no one wants to get involved in something they don't fully believe in or they don't understand, which is why you find that they all seem to be dragging their feet. But you know what? This isn't necessarily a motivational problem, because that's what we believe, that people are not motivated. It could be that the stakeholders, they need more information, they need more insight. And stakeholders are very important because they can either make or break your project, that wonderful idea you've got. So you really want to get them on site. You really want them as much as possible to be involved. You want to ensure that you build trust. You want to ensure that they are aligned with your vision. You want to ensure that they are moving as fast as possible and with less friction or with less doubts amongst them. And here's the best part: you don't need to be loud, you don't need to be an extrovert for you to do this. You just need to be intentional. You need to know how to work with your stakeholders. That's the superpowers that you need to get. And to master this, before I speak, before I send messages, I build a stakeholder engagement and communication plan. This normally involves a clear summary of my goals, what it is that I'm trying to achieve, a list of all my stakeholders, a RACI showing who's responsible, accountable, who should be consulted, who should be informed among my stakeholders, power versus interest mapping, so that I can clearly identify who's who in my project and how best to engage them. Also, I think about what information I want to share with whom. How often do I want to share these informations? And how will I go about sharing it? Through which channel will I go about sharing it? Finally, how do I measure if my communication is actually landing very well? I have to think about all of these things. It's not about over engineering this, it's about having a people strategy so that you can successfully bring people on board with you. Let me walk you through how I've applied this in a complex digital transformation project. I used an internal governance segmentation model to map out who mattered the most and why they mattered for my project. Then I engaged business change managers across different departments to help me assess each of these stakeholders that I had identified and even identify new ones. I assessed their level of influence, anticipated behaviors, their requirements, and even their communication needs. The result, I had a powerful stakeholder map, clear racy assignments, tailored communication plan, and a strategy that I could test, monitor, and adapt as I went along. I later noticed that there was a gap because I realized that senior leadership engagement was too infrequent and because they were very busy. So I logged it as a risk to start with because he had a probability of impacting my project if not properly dealt with or handled. I proposed the new senior management engagement group and worked with my program office to then identify and bring on board representative of each of the senior leaders who could contribute to the discussions, get my feedback. I could get their feedback. They could communicate on my behalf with the senior management leader and then get back to me with the information I needed. That way, there was no longer a bridge or a gap in communications between myself and the senior leaders. I adjusted my plan accordingly and then I restarted my effectiveness monitoring process all over again because communication isn't just a one-off thing, it's a cycle. If you have an initial strategy, you need to see is it working. If it isn't working, you need to propose a new strategy and then you start your trial process all over again until you eventually design and get something that would actually work for your project or initiative. Remember also that communication methods, it does matter a lot, but your tone, it matters even more because people tend to remember how you made them feel rather than just what you said. Some might not even remember what you said, but they will remember how you made them feel. So make them feel valued, make your stakeholders feel trusted, make them know that you have heard them and that you listen to them. That's what turns those resistance into support. People are also more likely to support what they helped to shape. That's why you don't just tell them what to do. You ask for their input. You ask them to contribute into designing whatsoever it is that you want to achieve. That's why also I never wait for feedback to just come to me. I create the space for feedback to get to me. I ask for feedback every single opportunity I get, whether it's one-to-one meetings, whether it's a team meeting, whether it's a workshop, surveys, even informal follow-ups. And if something isn't landing well, I don't just ignore it or forget about it. I adjust and I ask for feedback and I ask them, what can I do to make this thing better? Now, here's a summary of today's tip for real life success. Communicate early and often. Adapt to your audience. Create real feedback loops. And most importantly, don't just manage information, manage those relationships. You don't need to wait for a title to lead. You just need a vision, a strategy, and a heart, and people would follow you. People would buy into those ideas that you are selling to them. If this message has helped you rethink how you lead and inspire those around you, don't just keep it to yourself. Share this video with someone out there who might need it. Maybe a team member, maybe a fellow colleague who might need it. Also, don't forget to comment. I want to hear about your biggest insight, or if you've got any questions for me, I want to hear about it. Remember also to like the video, to subscribe. Thank you, I should say, to all those who have subscribed today. It gives us the impression that these videos we're creating, they are making a real impact in helping individuals turn their aspirations into achievements. But if you haven't subscribed, this is another chance. Remember to click on that button and subscribe so that you won't miss any notification from us. And until I see you in my next video, let's keep turning those aspirations into achievements.